Poor People's Campaign is calling for the nation to wake up and remember the high moral standard of our country. This call was first placed by Dr. Martin Luther King back in 1968 when he said it was time to move into the era of human rights. Today, 50 years later, dozens of organizations, dozens of cities in more than 30 states across this great country have stood up once again, banded together in numbers among the tens of thousands to cry out with one voice and demand that we as a country challenge the evils of systemic racism, poverty, the war economy, ecological devastation, and the nation's distorted morality. The truth is, our policies have not fundamentally valued human life or the ecological systems in which we live. Instead, it has prioritized private, corporate, and financial interests over our precious resources. In our case, in Elmira, New York, that resource is the most precious. It's our children. Back in 1979, the Elmira City School District was able to purchase the land for Elmira High School from the County Redevelopment Agency at an extremely reduced rate. Why do you suppose that land was so cheap? Could it be that because from 1937 to 1972, that location housed Remington Rand, an industrial center inside of which typewriters and office machines were manufactured? Powerful chemicals and metals were used on the property, and employees have reported tales of cavalier handling of dangerous chemicals and common dumping and burying of waste on the property and in nearby creeks and streams. The Industrial Revolution transformed the economy of this country and built an amazing middle class. As it wound down, it left small communities like Elmira with scars of contamination and ecological devastation. This is a prime example. Now we discover that the land is contaminated with arsenic, barium, nickel, and mercury. It's been reported that PCBs, or polychlorinated biphenyls, a form of hazardous waste, has contaminated at least 8,000 square feet of the football field and neighboring areas. Research indicates that PCBs are known to be tied to neurological defects, low birth weight, and has had impacts on the endocrine system. The Environmental Protection Agency lists PCBs as known carcinogens. That also decreases the body's ability to respond by attacking the immune system. Walter Hang, an expert who has been asked to review this situation, has recently stated it's extensively polluted. There are also semi-volatile organic compounds. Enough is enough, he says. This should be a Class 1 site, an imminent danger that can cause irreparable damage to the public or environment. Years later, concerned citizens have recognized increases in cancer rates. Rates increased 30% from 1976 to 1994, with upticks found in diagnoses of leukemia, lymphoma, and testicular cancer. An overwhelming number of folks who have been associated with the school have come forward with health problems that they attribute to this nightmare. Right now, we aren't getting the whole story. The cleanup process is entrusted to the same company responsible for the waste in the first place. There are gaps in misleading information coming from the Department of Environmental Conservation and the Department of Health. The intermittent remediation projects are short-term and are likely to be hiding evidence. This has been going on for 40 years. And please make no mistake, there are stakeholders at every level of our city. The kids attending classes every day, the teachers and staff on the premises every day, the neighbors who live adjacent and near the property in question, the businesses that operate in this area, and the politicians who represent us. Everyone is being impacted. And what does this all mean? 40 years with no resolution and we're still paying a huge cost. For individuals with poor health outcomes, they struggle every day with chronic illness. Research suggests that they likely have comorbid mental health problems. The rest of us are left wondering if we went to a sick school. Did we send our kids to a sick school? Our grandkids? Did we just experience a huge consolidation effort that makes this the only location for our high school, only to mandate attendance at a sick school? The community has to wonder how to draw new business and economic opportunities when we may have a sick school. That doesn't attract new businesses. It breeds stress, fear, and insecurity. And this has been a chronic condition for 40 years. Is it any wonder that folks feel neglected and forgotten? It is time that we say enough is enough. We are mandated by law to send our children to school. Most of us don't have the resources needed to make any other arrangements, but by doing so, we are risking our children's lives. It is time for the establishment to stand up for our kids. We know the answer will be difficult and that hard choices will need to be made, but we say that our children's future is worth it. So what can we do? There is a petition asking Governor Cuomo to designate the site as a Class 1 inactive hazardous waste disposal site, quote, causing or presenting an imminent danger of causing irreversible or irreparable damage to the public health or environment. Immediate action required. Over 1,000 signatures have been collected so far. Next, we can call our elected officials and add more pressure. They are there to help us. There have been numerous examples of campaigns just this year that have swayed Congress based on the power of public opinion. Call your elected officials every day. Check out our video, How to Call Your Elected Officials, for more details. As the organizers of the Poor People's Campaign said, we declare that if silence was betrayal in 1968, revival is necessary today. We come to remind our nation what truths we hold to be self-evident and what values we hold dear. We draw on the histories of resistance that echo their truth down through the centuries and the power of the blood that has been shed through generations of struggle. We loudly proclaim that we will move forward together and not one step back. Please stand with us as we demand action. Help save us from our toxic high school.